WCAU-TV, Channel 10, Philadelphia. Larry Kane, Steve Levy, Herb Clark, Al Meltzer. The Channel 10 News 6 o'clock report.
Good evening. There is a new twist in the case of the Vicki Morgan sex tapes.
And in Philadelphia court, the key prosecution witness names the triggerman on the Smoke and Joe's restaurant murders.
But our top story tonight, the courtroom battle over whether Leonard Toews can sell his Philadelphia Eagles, and so far Toews is trailing by one judge's ruling. In Delaware County Court today, Toews was ordered not to negotiate the sale of the team with anyone but the Gaida Group, with whom he has a memorandum of agreement. But Toews told Bill Baldini he'll appeal that because he has no intention of sitting on the sidelines in the world of pro football.
I never envisioned giving up control in percentage or in any other way. My attorney never really represented me. He was representing them, in my opinion, because he is and was a partner of theirs, which I didn't know until yesterday.
Toews said he not only trusted his lawyer, he thought the people in the Gaida Group were his friends. I wish I'd never signed that memo, said Toews, but I did. The court order says Toews can't sell the Eagles to anyone else until September 15th, but he does not have to bargain with the Gaida Group either.
Court testimony today fingered Ralph Trent Stokes as the triggerman in the murders of 3 people at Smoke and Joe's restaurant last year. The testimony came from the prosecution's key witness, who already has pleaded guilty in that crime. Roseanne Serra was in that courtroom.
As he was led into the courtroom this morning, Ralph Trent Stokes walked past the families of the victims he is charged with killing. Today, he also faced his alleged accomplice in last year's triple murder and robbery at Smoke and Joe's restaurant. Donald Jackson already confessed to being a co-conspirator in the robbery, and today testified that Stokes was the triggerman in the murders. He also testified that on the day of the killings, Stokes told him one of the victims, employee Mary Figueroa, recognized him, and that, quote, he had to off her, meaning he had to kill her. Jackson said he tried to dissuade Stokes, then ran to the back of the restaurant. As he did, he heard gunshots and saw Stokes, quote, standing in the doorway, firing away. According to prosecutor Roger King, Jackson has already negotiated a guilty plea of 3 counts of second-degree murder.
Well, Mr. Jackson agreed to testify against Mr. Stokes, who was the shooter, for life imprisonment. As a condition of the plea, we would agree to recommend that he serve 3 concurrent life sentences in return for his testimony.
But Jackson can't begin serving his life term until he finishes serving time for a previous conviction. On the day of his alleged involvement in the Smoke and Joe murders, Jackson was awaiting trial for a previous robbery. Jackson was recently convicted of that robbery and sentenced from 30 to 70 years in prison. The Stokes trial continues tomorrow. Roseanne Serra, Channel 10 News, Center City.
It's being called Morgangate and Vickygate, among other things, and it's getting stranger by the day. Earlier today, Hustler magazine publisher Larry Flynt reportedly had those tapes which allegedly show high government officials in sex acts with Vicki Morgan, the murdered former girlfriend of department store heir Alfred Bloomingdale. Those are the same tapes Los Angeles lawyer Robert Steinberg said were stolen from his office. This afternoon, Flynt told our sister CBS station in Los Angeles, KNXT, that he made a deal with Steinberg to buy the tapes, but Steinberg never showed up and the deal collapsed. Flynt refused to say how much he offered for the tapes, but the reported figure is $1 million. Flynt also reportedly planned to name those who may be on the tapes and to publish still photos in his magazine.
The U.S. Attorney for New Jersey now says investigators have learned of a plot by 5 alleged drug dealers to kill U.S. District Judge Herbert Stern. The men are scheduled to go on trial before Stern in September on charges of importing 8 tons of marijuana. Now, the FBI says one of the defendants tipped them off during questioning in the last several weeks. An 87-year-old Camden man will not be charged for shooting a teenager he found in his home in the middle of the night. Neighbors say Charles Hagmeyer has been singled out by teenagers because he's old. Hagmeyer says he's been burglarized 3 times in 6 weeks. This week they went so far as to throw a firebomb into his kitchen, causing minor damage. 2 teenagers so far have been charged with arson, and meanwhile the 15-year-old suspected burglar is being treated for gunshot wounds and being held by police at Cooper Hospital in Camden.
In Pennsylvania, the Senate is adding teeth to a law that gets tough with criminals who victimize the young and the old. Under an amendment just passed, robbers would get a mandatory 5-year sentence if their victims are over 60 or under 12 years old. The existing law calls for stiff penalties for fraud and sex crimes. The new amendment now goes to the House for their approval. There are some late-breaking developments tonight from Harrisburg, where legislative leaders have been trying to find ways to fund $1 billion in state programs slashed by Governor Thornburg before he signed the new state budget this week. Now, Jay Scott is in Harrisburg, and he's on the phone with us now with the latest developments. Jay, what's happened out there?
Well, Steve, anything can happen here in Harrisburg. Things change quickly, and here's not a good example. At 5:06, a very quick turnaround. House Speaker Kayla Roy Irvis called the full House into session tonight at 8 p.m. Legislative leaders have apparently now reached some kind of a compromise on additional tax and spending bills to close that billion-dollar loophole. Now, leaders here are discussing, we know, an increase in the state personal income tax. Exactly how much we're not prepared to tell you right now because we don't have an exact figure. It is believed that monies will be restored to school districts and some of the other programs cut by the governor. I'm in the same office right now with Deputy Mayor Joe McLaughlin, which happens to be the office of House Majority Leader James Mandarino. Now, McLaughlin has been on the phone for about half an hour. He presumably knows what's in this agreement for Philadelphia, since he is the city's chief lobbyist over here right now, but he's not available. I can see him, but I can't talk to him. He's on the telephone. Lots of fast-breaking action right now, but the people in a position to know say there will be a vote on some kind of a compromise in the House tonight at 8 p.m. House members drifting back in right now. We're standing by. We'll let you know.
Okay, Jay, thank you very much. That was Jay Scott reporting to us live from Harrisburg. And, of course, Jay is going to stay in Harrisburg through the night and in tomorrow, and we'll update what happens there tonight.